Today we're going to be looking at King Jeroboam II. And he's found in 2 Kings chapter 14, verses 23 to 29. And first we're going to look at the introduction to Jeroboam II. And that's found in verses 23 to 24. The reign of Jeroboam II takes place during the reign of Amaziah of Judah. And Jeroboam II's reign is very long. It's the longest of the reigns of the kings of Israel. It's 42 years long. Now, there are three prophets that are contemporaries of King Jeroboam II. First, we have Hosea. We see that in Hosea 1:1, where this prophecy is written during the reign of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. The book of Amos is written during the reign of Jeroboam II, and we see that in Amos 1:1. And we also have the prophet Jonah, who ministers to Jeroboam II, and shortly there, or before, he ministers to the people of Nineveh, and we see that in the book of Jonah. In 1 Kings 14, verse 24, Jeroboam II follows the steps of the first Jeroboam, the first king of Israel. He does evil in the eyes of the Lord. Hosea and Amos both describe the evils and the wickedness that Israel was up to during the reign of Jeroboam II. For instance, in Hosea 4, 1-2, it says there that the Lord has a controversy with the inhabitants of the land. There's no faithfulness. There's no steadfast love. There's no knowledge of God in the land. There's swearing, lying, murder, stealing, committing adultery. They break all bounds, and bloodshed follows bloodshed. And in the book of Amos, chapter 2, verses 6-9, we have that great declaration that Amos denounces the foreign nations. Then he goes to Israel. And in 2, verse 7, those who trample on the heads of the poor into the dust of the earth turn aside the way of the afflicted. A man, his father go into the same girl, so that my holy name is profaned. They lay themselves beside every altar on garments taken in pledge, and in the house of their God they drink wine of those who have been fined. And there we see more sexual immorality, more idolatry. And really they were involved in committing the same idolatry that Jeroboam I had committed, where he created 2 golden calves to be worshipped because he feared that the northern kingdom would join back with the southern kingdom. And so he creates these golden calves so they won't join with the southern kingdom again. So we don't have a good introduction to King Jeroboam. In verses 25 to 27, we see God's grace to Israel even though Israel is wicked and Jeroboam II is wicked. In spite of their great rebellion and the great rebellion of Jeroboam II, God shows grace to the land. The Lord continues to show grace to the people of God, and it's actually very similar to what we read in the prophet Hosea, where the Lord shows grace and mercy to the people of God. In verse 25, the border of Israel from Lebo Hamath as far as the Sea of Arabah, according to the word of the Lord, the God of Israel, which he spoke by his servant Jonah, the son of Amittai, the prophet, who was from Gath-Hepher. So there we have a prophecy from the prophet Jonah. He brings the word of the Lord, and it does happen. And here we have the land of Israel expanding and being defended to the lengths of the kingdom that happened during King Solomon. But this doesn't come about by the strength of the king. This is the work of the Lord. The prophet comes and brings this message, and it happens. But we also see the amazing grace of God in 14:26. For the Lord saw the affliction of Israel was very bitter. For there was none left, bond or free, and there was none to help Israel. The Lord sees the affliction of Israel. This is because the Lord is gracious and He is merciful. And really, this is the same language that we see of God's grace to the people of God while they're in Egypt in Exodus chapter 2, verses 23 and 25. Here we see the Israel groans because of their slavery. They cry out for help. Their cry comes up to God. And God heard their groaning. Exodus 2:24. And God remembered His covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, with Jacob. God saw the people of Israel and God knew. God is a gracious God who keeps His covenant. He is a faithful God. And in verse 27 it says, "But the Lord had not said that He would blot out the name of Israel from under heaven, so He saved them by the hand of Jeroboam, the son of Joash." Even though the Lord did not say that He would blot out the name, the Lord saves Israel. The Lord saves His people. That's the word for salvation there in verse 27. And this event is actually very similar to what happens in Jehoahaz in 2 Kings 13, verses 4 and 5. Jehoahaz seeks the favor of the Lord listens to him. He sees the oppression of what the Syrians are doing to the people of God, and therefore the Lord gave Israel a Savior. So the Lord hears, and then the Lord saves. And we see the amazing grace and the salvation of God in the life of Jeroboam, even though him and all of the northern kingdom of Israel is acting in complete wickedness that we read in the book of Amos, the book of Hosea. And then this story of Jeroboam II concludes in verses 28 to 29. He had accomplishments, he fought and he expanded the land, but he dies. And Zechariah, his son, takes his place. The application here that really jumps out at us is the amazing grace of God. We see the amazing grace of God in the life of Israel. They were carrying out idolatry, sexual immorality, lying, stealing. They were breaking all the commandments left, right, and center, as you see in the book of Amos and Hosea. And although they're rebellious, the Lord is gracious and merciful to a nation who's completely gone hog wild. We see the grace of God showed to Israel in the book of Hosea. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. Hosea 11, verse 1. This grace points us to the amazing work of Jesus on the cross. What were we when Christ called us if we're a Christian? We were darkened by sin, in the darkness, under the influence of demonic powers, living according to the standards of the world. But yet the Lord loved us, and He sent us His Son. We're rebels and sinners, and yet God shows His amazing grace. God sends His Son to die for us. As we read in Romans 5, verse 8, but God shows His love for us in this: while we were sinners, Christ died for us. This story of Jeroboam is an amazing testament to God's grace. Thanks for watching, and God bless.